I'm somewhat new to the hero shooter genre, but I've been having a blast on Marvel Rivals, and I want to talk about something I've noticed. Basically, I'm going to talk a bunch. Feel free to put me on in the background while you're doing something else, or you can watch this awesome cap game. I was on an alt in High Diamond with a 6-stack of friends, and it was pretty awesome, so fun watch. I don't know what I was going to talk about. So a lot of my ranked teammates do this thing, and I think a lot of them don't even notice they're doing it, but basically it's forcing us to run a comp because they want to play their character, whatever character that may be. And there's a lot of characters that this won't apply to. Like if you want to play Doctor Strange, obviously, you can kind of play Doctor Strange with any comp. But this is going to talk about more the comp-specific characters, like Rocket or Jeff. A lot of them are going to be like triple support comps, stuff like that. Recently I had a Jeff character in my game, and we start loading in, and I see Jeff in the character card, and he has Lord Jeff, and we get in, and he locks Jeff after ban phase, and our other tank, we were going to run Cap Thor because we'd banned double shield. Our other tank goes, fine, like I'll play support so that we can actually have a winnable comp, because if you run Jeff with double support, it's going to be a rough game. It's my opinion that there are no bad characters, only bad players. However, running Jeff with only 2 support is going to be pretty rough, almost no matter what. Because Jeff is, I think, usually best played as more of a dive or like a flanker character rather than just a main support. So we get in the game, and it turns out that Jeff is actually really, really good. And we win the game. I'm on Cap, and he's on Jeff, and we just dive their back line, and basically we ate him for breakfast. It was an absolute slam. The Jeff was really good. He got the most elims in the game by quite a bit. So he low-key carried us. But it just sucks that basically our other tank who wanted to play Thor gets forced off of his character, and he's on Invisible Woman for the entire rest of the game, or for the entire game, like start to finish. And also that this one guy can play Jeff, and our DPS had to change as well. Like, it's just really irritating to have to change who you wanted to play, who 3 different people wanted to play, because one guy wants to play Jeff, and most of the time the person's like not even willing to calm. Or they'll calm, and their comms will be, I only play Jeff on this account. This is my Jeff account, my Jeff only account. And it's like, bro, all right, like, cool, you're a funny guy. And so that time it works out. Lord Jeff carries us to victory, and because he's the Jeff goat, and we end up winning. But a lot of times that isn't the case, and I think that the big factor that people need to consider when deciding whether or not they want to play their character and force the rest of the team to conform to how they want to play is the number of people that they are displacing from the place where they perform best. So for like a really good example, I think probably the best example of this would be with Rocket players. There's a lot of times where you have a Lord Rocket in your game, and even in like GM, it's a Lord Rocket, he doesn't comm, he refuses to swap or just doesn't swap. Maybe he has comms disabled, I don't even know. But you have Lord Rocket in your game, he doesn't swap, and you're running double heals. The other one is a character with a good support, I'll say like Cloak and Dagger. And you lose. You're just losing because you don't have as good a support ults or as good a healing as the enemy team. Because obviously, of course, you don't. You have Rocket. And basically, to be viable with a Rocket, you need to run Bucky Punisher, or at least one of those characters, to get back the value that you would be losing by not having a good ultimate with Rocket. So you've forced one or 2 DPS already to swap. And if let's say your team wanted to run a 2-2-2 comp, then you have 2 tanks, and now to make up for Rocket's like sort of mediocre healing, you have to swap to triple support. So now you're on 1 tank, 2 DPS. You've displaced both of your DPS into Bucky and Punisher, assuming that they weren't already on those characters, and you've displaced a tank into the support role. So you displaced 3 characters because you wanted to play Rocket. And even though that might be a really strong comp, the like 1 shield tank, Bucky, Punisher, Rocket, and 2 supports with good ultimates, you've displaced people into those roles, so they're not as used to playing them, and they're probably not going to perform as well. Like somebody who doesn't know how to play Bucky or hasn't played Bucky, like they're not a Bucky main, they don't play him a lot. He's not going to perform as well as he would have on Magic, who he was playing before, and now he can't really play because the comp changed. And it isn't strictly true that you're going to need to swap to make it work, but the level of skill required to make a comp like that work with Magic and Punisher rather than Bucky and Punisher is just way, way, way higher. You're requiring way more from your teammates and just really making up a whole lot of work that didn't need to be there in the first place. And I think it really hurts your odds of winning a lot, and it makes it a lot less fun for your teammates. It makes your teammates not like you. It leads to arguments in the lobby, which is just kind of the worst. Once your team starts arguing, there's basically just no chance of winning because everybody's mad at each other and I'm angry, you won't swap off a rocket. So at the very least, be willing to swap, be willing to calm. And I think a good rule of thumb is if you are displacing more than 2 people, then you probably should not be forcing whatever character you are playing. If you're playing Rocket and you're displacing a third person, get off Rocket. Just learn Luna Snow. It's not that much. It's not that difficult character to learn. Learn one extra character for whatever role you're playing, and just be ready to swap to them if it doesn't make sense for the comp you're running. If you're displacing more than 2 people, that's too much. You're forcing too much on your team, and you're probably going to hurt your odds of winning. So I would recommend swapping off there. That's all. Thanks.
Our enemies are near. And all
I put the Ankh on ice. Anything can hurt me.
take it from
Transgressions.
Stand down!